PJNet.TV Part 2. It is 9:30 on the East Coast, and we have our guest standing by. We have Dell's bumper running. We've got a background waiting. We're recording, we're streaming, switching to Studio 7 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, good evening. Welcome back to PJNet.TV. I have stepped next door into Studio 7, and we are ready to get started with a very special night here on PJNet.TV. Special thank you to all of you in the PJNet.TV chat room. Now, I realize that some of you are probably watching this on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever it may, wherever books are sold. And but we do invite you to come join the fellowship over at PJNet.TV. There's a lot of people in the chat room eager to meet you, and you will find some new friends, and you're going to have a wonderful fellowship, and you can watch the same thing. Now, Dell Duduit comes our way at this time each Tuesday night, and he will be doing that tonight, but he is not alone by any means, nor is the person that he is accompanying him any stranger to PJNet.TV, because we have with us an old friend, new friend, and always, lifetime friend over here, Lori Hayes, who has some news for us. I will help you, by the way, with these names. Okay, I hope I lined them up right. I did. Okay, Lori is got some news for us, and of course, over here is our good friend and colleague, Dell Duduit. Dell, I could introduce... Lori doesn't need a lot of introduction to the PJNet family, but she has kind of a new title now.
Yeah, I won't steal her thunder, so she can go at it.
Lori, what is your new title? Is it Mrs.? No, it's... Lori, you are beaming with joy and excitement, but you have a very good reason, because for you, it's kind of like a dream come true, isn't it?
Absolutely. We sold 2 of my books, and I've been wanting to be traditionally published for really 11 years. That's a long time. Really, it was 5 years, but I self-published. So, but that's long.
So you go to conference after conference, and you get turned, and you wait and you wait. What happened, Lori? I mean, did the phone just ring one day?
No, hardly. I went to many conferences, and then I went to my second Serious Writers Conference. I had met Dell at the first one, barely. I met Kyle and pitched to him, and then I met somebody from the Iron Stream Media. And then the second conference, which was in March, I met Dell again and pitched to him and took his class, and he told me to be bold, so I was. And then he ended up signing me on as a client, and then he ended up selling 2 of my books, so that's awesome.
So not 1, but 2.
Oh, he sold 2.
Now, and subject matter, what do we have? Titles? Do we have subject matter? What's is everything ready to roll? When's all this going to happen?
Okay, so I have until October 25th to finish. The first book is finished, but they have some edits that they want me to do. Second book, I have edits to do by January 25th. So the working title is Island Summer and Coastal Christmas. So I'm not sure if they'll keep those titles or not. So we're looking at 2021 to have those released.
Okay, so knowing you as many of us do from your appearance here on PJNet.TV in the past, I'm getting, when you say island, I'm getting visions of this coastal island and wild horses?
Yes. Town, love story, wild horses in it. Definitely boats, water, islands.
Lighthouse. Seagull droppings. Well, we're so excited for you, Lori. We're proud of you. I know. So during that time, there may be some people that see this that are on the one hand happy for you, but on the other hand envious of you, and they're saying, "Well, when does my break come?" What would you say?
I say have faith and just keep on plugging away, and if you have faith, it will come. And there were a few times where I almost gave up, but I didn't, and I persevered, and I just kept a hold of my dream, and then it all came to fruition, and I'm really thankful for Dell.
Dell, you meet with as a literary agent. I mean, you've grown up in this. You've been on both sides of the table, but now you find yourself as the literary agent. Everybody's pitching themselves and their book to you. You can't sign everybody. What were some of the deciding factors?
Well, she gave me that Tim Hortons gift card, which really helped. I'm kidding. No, I mean, I liked her approach. I liked her writing. That was the main thing. I liked her approach and her determination. So I think that's a lot of it. And her platform is good. Obviously, we're all trying to get better in that, but it's not, it's just starting out. So it's established and it's good. She has a good following and she has a good history. I mean, she sold some good books. She sold books. She has a good history of moving her own books. So that was something that was able to, that was attractive to publishers, and so I think eventually we found the right one, and we were able to work out a good agreement with it. And and this is really my second one, so I went back and forth with Kyle. Just had him to look over some things just to make sure we weren't leaving anything out or leaving something in there that we didn't want in the contracts. And so a little bit of give and take there, and it's a learning process for me, too, as well. But I think, obviously, a good writer who's excited and bold and who has a good platform and who has a history of being an asset. So, because publishers do look at that, they look at business plans because it is a business. I mean, it's the Christian writing world is also a ministry, but it is a business, and they want to know how you're going to make them money. And that is the bottom line. It's not the most important thing, but it is very important to them. So they want to see how you're going to make the adventure worth it.
I get the impression, and maybe it's just a myth, maybe I'm wrong, but it's almost like, you've got this story idea in your head, and then you've got to look at the various models. You can self-publish, you can traditionally publish, and then there's a kind of a hybrid somewhere in between. Word on the street is that once you've decided to self-publish, you're just not going to be able to talk to publishers after that. You've betrayed them.
Well, no, that's not entirely true, because I've self-published, and I could sell my book to a traditional publisher. Lori could do the same thing. She's proven she's sold a lot of copies. She can take this to a traditional publisher and say, "Hey, look, I've sold this amount of money. Imagine what you could do with it." So that's not dead in the water. It could turn around to be an advantage. I think when it's a detriment is when it's something that's like a local story and a local book that only folks in your hometown will read about and like. So that's kind of a fallacy, and it's kind of a myth on that. But they do look at that, and they don't turn their nose up like they used to. So again, if you can show them, hey, I self-published this book 10 years ago, I've sold X amount of books, I think you can do more. And if you can show them where it could be a financial advantage for them, they will look at it.
Lori, what was the decision process in your mind? Self-publishing, at least you don't have to convince a publisher. You don't have to sell them, but self-publishing is no cakewalk either, right?
No, it's a lot of work, but I'm already doing that work, and I still need to do a lot of that work, even with a traditional publisher, as in marketing. So when I first started writing, I wanted to self-publish then, and honestly, I wanted to traditionally publish then, but my first book just wasn't that good. So I went on and I wrote a second book, and I wrote a third book, and then the whole ebook thing, all the publishers seemed to be struggling at the time, and I actually almost sold one of my books to Random House, but in the end, that ended up not working out, but I made a great friend and connection out of that. But then when the whole ebook thing happened, I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to self-publish. And so actually it's been a learning experience. I learned how to do all the formatting myself. I learned how to do everything myself. So it cost me zero amount of money, and I just kind of went for it. And then really my books have done quite well. So, and I know that's why, like Dell said, that I got my books eventually published. But I stayed off the market for about 6 years and just self-published. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to go for this. I want to see my books on the shelves in the stores. I would love to be in Walmart. I would love to be in the airport, wherever I can get my at. I already have them in some of the bookstores, but I got tired of doing all the math and keeping up with who had how many books. And then they had to pay me directly. And so I just decided I still want to do the traditional publishing. I took a hiatus for 14 months. I finished Island Summer. I started and finished Coastal Christmas. And then I also did all the research for another book. So, and I'm about ready to send Dell that proposal.
So this is a real milestone in your life, right?
Absolutely. And I feel different too.
Well, you are kind of radiating a countenance of joy, and milestones are in our lives all over the place. Dell, your blog today, milestones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a pretty neat conversation I was able to have with Greg Nance, who's going to be celebrating. He's already hit 3,000 days of being sober, but he's a marathon runner, and he was going to run from New York to Seattle this year, but obviously with the world going crazy, he's not going to do that, or else they'd probably make him wear like this hazmat suit as he jogged. So he's pushed that back for a year, and he's going to do it next year. And we had a great conversation. I'm gonna try to meet up with him when he comes to Ohio next year, and we're gonna stay in touch. But that's a big deal for him. 3,000 days sober, because his story is incredible, and we don't have time to go into it. So I encourage people. I guess it's a shameless plug for my blog, but it's a really neat story. It's a fascinating story that Greg shared about how he became addicted to alcohol and became addicted to opioids, and then how he overcame that. So it's a very inspirational, very encouraging story, because we all go through, I think, times of self-doubt and depression and discouragement. But he took it to a whole new level when he was involved. He was drinking before school started at 7 o'clock in the morning. He was drinking after school, and he was taking opioids. So he had a problem, but he used running to escape that problem and to run away from that problem, I think.
Well, and not all of us cope with our problems, with alcohol and opioids. Your blog goes into depression, and you kind of open the blinds a little bit into your own life, that it's not always easy. And you don't, we get on here on camera and we put our best foot forward, but real life isn't that way.
No, and especially right now, there's a lot of people hurting and being discouraged and depression. I mean, right now they don't report these statistics on the news, but domestic violence numbers are skyrocketing. Mm-hmm. Suicides are increasing because people are home. They don't have a job. They can't go out. They can't see their friends, and they go to the store and they get alcohol, and they go home and they beat up their spouses. So there's a lot going on right now that's not really being focused on or being reported on. Because the media is kind of crazy, so or they're misguided. I think 85% of this pandemic and this fear is caused by the media. So people do get discouraged. I've been discouraged. I've been depressed, and I've had to go, and I've had to go talk to people and get help. I know sometimes, and I try to point this out. Sometimes the church as a whole does not favor upon that. And some do, but there's a lot that don't, and they kind of look at you like, well, you must not have faith, and that's not the case at all. So I think Dr. Dobson touched on that. He went into a great deal saying, hey, the mind can also, if you have a broken arm, to go to the doctor. When you have, if you're having pains in your back, you go see your doctor. If you're having issues, with your emotions, you too should also seek professional help. And I'm not going to hide. I've had to do that. I mean, I'm not recently, but I think everybody goes through those bouts. And I've been really discouraged at times.
It's a hidden cancer that's out there, because there was a day. Do you remember when Eagleton was?
Yes.
This was back in the early 70s, I think.
70s.
But they
Yeah.
found out that he had gone to a psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
His political career ended. There was so much stigma that only weirdos would go see a professional psychiatrist. Lori, in your own journey, I mean, I know that you have gone from, you had a job, you lost your job, you became very ill, you started working, you kind of worked part-time, you kind of wrote. I mean, was there a time that it challenged your faith and that you were facing depression?
I've never faced depression, thank goodness, but I've gotten frustrated and really down and wondering how I was going to make it. And I guess I probably suffer from anxiety a little bit more. And I started getting this, and I start trying to do things myself. And then I've gotten really good over the last year or two of just praying about it and putting it in God's hands. And that's not always easy to do. You're hurting, or you're scared.
Well, your trips to the beach are more than just trip to the beach. I mean, this is a chance to commune with God. This is a chance to release some of that anxiety. And I'll never forget, I don't know why, it must the way you said it or what you said, but when I said, what's the big deal with the wild horses? You just got this animated look in your face, and you said they are so free.
Yeah.
and that environment, when you go on those day trips to that island where you find the wild horses, I mean, that must be therapeutic, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Whether it's an antidote or whether it's a preventative measure. For me, riding a motorcycle at night, I used to, Del, I used to go on what I call soul patrol. I would strike out on my motorcycle about 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and I would get back at 4 and 5 in the morning, and I would just drive that motorcycle around all night, and I would stop. See, you take it for granted in a car, if you get a cup of coffee, you can drink that cup of coffee as you're driving. You can't do that on a motorcycle. So I would stop at a convenience store that's kind of not in a bad section, not too dangerous looking and well lit. And I would strike up conversations with people, because a motorcycle is a real ministry magnet. People will just approach you. But to me, this was very therapeutic. What are some of the ways that you what do you do, Del? Do you play golf, beat your wife, kick the cat? I mean, what do you do? Drink?
No, I used to play golf. I haven't really had a whole lot of time the last 2 or 3 years to play golf. So I'd like to get back to that one of these days. I played like one time last year. I like to go to the shooting range to obviously fend off stress. That's a great way. Hopefully I don't have to use those recently or anytime soon. But you know what? I think spending time with my grandkids helps. Is a great stress reliever, because they're a lot of fun. And when we are able to go on a little trip, vacation, I don't take any work. I'm probably the only person in the world that do that. When I go on vacation, I shut everything down, and everything. I don't talk to work. I don't answer emails, text, nothing. So I just get away from everything. So I think it's important for me to do. But that's how I kind of and writing is a lot of my therapy, actually. I've written things that'll never get published or never be published, but they've helped me. And so I like I said, I like to go shooting. I like to cook. That's a big stress reliever. And but I think right now spending time with with the grandkids is my preferred outlet right now.
Actually, if I remember right, I think it either hinted at or you've said in the past somewhere. I'm trying to conjure up that your writing was something your wife suggested you write things down in dealing with some bad things.
Well, yeah, it was kind of her idea to be. I've always written. I mean, I was a sports writer. I was a news assignment writer, and so it was her idea for me to start the blogs, and then to write about the events that happened to us. So, and I started doing that, and then it's kind of morphed and grew, and that's when I reached out to Michelle, who I didn't know at the time. And I said, I have this manuscript. What do I do with it? Mm-hmm. And then voila. So here I am, 5 years later, selling books for Lori. So
well, and you've run the gamut in a short period of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I would point out you went from where Lori's at to you've literally occupied both sides of the table.
Yeah. Well, Lori's got a little head start on me, but I went into this world 4 years ago with nothing, no aspiration of ever writing a book, ever, never wanted to in my life. And now, we just had our latest release Tuesday. Michigan Motivations just came out, and then we have 2 next month, and that'll be like 13 in like 3 years. So it's been crazy. So it's been fun, but it's been crazy. It's been really busy.
Wow.
So Lori, right now, I mean, everything's going well. Has the reality, the awesome, the enormity of it all started to sink in, or are you still at the wee?
I'm still at the wee stage.
Well, wait till she gets my bill, then it'll hit her.
So
I'm kidding.
but you've done most of the work. But the stress, there's deadlines, and then there's the anxiety, there's the anticipation. You're wondering, is it? I mean, we all go up and down this roller coaster, and it's good. You've had some moments that you've been down, and it's just good to have those high moments too. And if there's anybody out there, Lori, you struggle, you fight, you wait, you use all your patience. But Lori, what has, in those times when you got that guy on the shoulder telling you to give up, what kept you going?
Just faith. And I don't know what my drive is for writing. I guess it's a release, like Del said, and I just really enjoy it. And I really don't have a choice. It just, the stories come, and I just have to get them on paper. And one thing that you said earlier, I had some stress this morning because I got my revisions, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have to, the bigger things in my book, and I have 3 months to do it in. And so I was really stumped. How was I going to achieve what I was being asked to do? But then I stayed up all night, and I thought about it. And then I thought about it today at work, and I came up with a solution. So I can't wait to get started again. So I've always been one to, when I lock my horns on something, I just go for it. And so somewhere along the line, I decided I wanted to be a writer. Actually, I think my grandfather, for that, he said, stop talking about it and just do it.
Just do it.
And so,
Yeah, that's the fun part when you send them a good product and then you get it back, and it's like, is there anything good about this? Is there anything that's not marked up?
It's tough, and I think a lot of what it gets down to, in coaching and participating in athletics and also competing in the business world, I do not think, and on a scale of 1 to 10, Lori, where would you put yourself in your own estimation as a writer? On that scale, where are you at in your own estimation?
I'm humble, so I don't know, a 3.
A 3. Del, what about yourself? How do you feel about, when you size up the competition out there? How do you rank in your own estimation?
Oh, with me, it depends on who I'm up against. There's a bestseller out there that I've read. I was instructed to read, and it's terrible. And I thought, how in the world would this thing be a bestseller? How in the world do people use this as a standard when it stinks? When I know I'm better than this, and so I I know, I'm humble too, but I'm very confident. I know some of the things I put out, you know, either I don't want to say good or great, but I know I've put a lot of work into it, and I know how I feel when it's done. So I'm confident, without being cocky. I'm pretty confident that my stuff can stack up against anybody, and it just needs the right person to see it. It's the right person to really look at it and say, you know what, this isn't bad. This is good. So I'm pretty confident in that, and I know. I mean, I take that humbly, but I know when some of the other things I've read, I just shake my head and say, "Oh my gosh, this is awful."
I feel your pain.
So
I do too.
some of it's excellent. Obviously, a lot of it's excellent, or else. But
Yeah.
I couldn't believe this one person said, "You got to get this book and go by this." And I read like the first 4 chapters, and I called her. I said, "This is hideous. This is juvenile."
Yeah.
But it's a bestseller.
It's like my wife used to watch that show, What Not to Wear. What was that guy's name?
Right.
Clint or whatever.
Yeah,
You know, and he'd have all this advice, and it's like, I don't want to be like you, Clint. Okay?
Right.
But no, but Lori's stuff's very good, and I don't want to I'm not boasting her up, but it's good. And some publishers sent stuff back saying this is great, but we just published something like this, or this isn't for us, but it's very good, great, great detail, great stories. And then you got some back that's typical. So you just got to find the right publisher.
Well, I probably didn't do it that well. I wasn't trying to put either of you on the spot, but I was really setting it up like this.
You never do that.
In high school, I played on a team. We had 14 players. We were all white. The fastest player on our team ran a 4.940.
Yeah.
So in the well, you're probably familiar with the Dunkel Index, Del. It's a very useful tool in predicting the outcome of a game. I'm sure a lot of handicappers out there, not gamblers or anything, just handicappers. We were always up against teams that were better than we were in every measurement.
But I think that's how you learn. So
Yeah, well, that's how they learned to lose, because we consistently beat teams that were better than we were. And the reason there's
probably more a 6, but I want to learn, and I read best-selling authors because I want to learn everything I can, because that's what I want to achieve at some point.
nothing wrong with competence, nothing wrong with skill, but skill doesn't win games.
Right. Well, don't read the book I read.
I think the reason we won was twofold. One, we worked harder. Okay, we were more physical. We were in better shape. We had to be. We only had 14 players. We had to be. But more importantly, we just wouldn't give up. And it's hard to beat somebody that won't quit. Because at the end of the day, have you seen that, Dell, games, okay, Ohio State, you'll have somebody come in there, they'll play with you for a quarter or two. Or but somewhere in about the third, somewhere along in the third quarter, that edge, they lose their will to prosecute the war.
Well, they run out of gas.
They run out of gas. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember a time I was starting my freshman year, which was really odd, and we were up against a pretty good team, and we had an emotional coach, which that's football. But so all the newspaper prognosticators, they put their others, every one of them picked this other team. They said such and such is tougher than East. They're stronger than East. They're better. So we had like 8 sports writers all predicted this other team was going to win. But the coach got up. Well, we were still on the bus, mind you, and he started reading these to us. He said, "The Portsmouth Times says Northwest is faster." They said this by says they're bigger, and this one says they're tougher than East. And Coach Carell got so emotional, his face turned blood red. And he threw his hat off, and he just says, "By golly, they are bigger, they are faster, they are stronger." He says, "But by golly, they're not tougher than we are." And he hit that bus, and he shook the bus, and you could hear it for 10 miles. And boy, we went out and won that game. And because he just got us to believe in you're tougher than they are. So, just like Lori,
Well,
she got to be bold and she got to be tough. And when she gets those edits, she's got to say, you know what, this is for the best, and put the ego aside and just take it, and be tough about it.
so many lessons. Lori, you're a dream come true. We're happy for you, and we can tell that you're happy. It just your face is a radiant of joy, and there are going to be some tough times ahead, but we know that you're not a quitter, because the fact that you got this, it was a tough row to hoe. But not only did you do it, hopefully your story will be an inspiration to others who are struggling with what's wrong, and I think if we would be honest with ourselves, in our prayer life, God, what's wrong with me? What do you want from me? Have you ever
also
been there?
Well, go ahead, Lori.
I think God puts something in your heart and you need to follow it. You need to listen and be obedient. And in this case, God put writing in my heart, and I need to sit down and I need to do the time in the chair, and I just need to keep writing. And if I look back, I could see the whole road that he was taking. But at the time, I had no idea if I would ever make it or not. But now that I look back, I see how all the pieces fit together, and it just is amazing.
Yeah, plus this is a time right now where not a lot of publishers are buying books right now because they don't know if they're going to keep the doors open tomorrow, which is true. I mean, that's not,
Well,
that's
the printing press is, that's a labor-intensive task.
Well, no, there's a lot of publishers going out of business right now. Bookstores aren't open right now. So that's why Kyle and I's launch wasn't the best in the world, because, the bookstores aren't open, so people can't go buy the book. So there's a lot of publishers who are not offering contracts right now because they don't know if they're going to have their doors open in 3 months. So that's why a lot of them are reluctant to offer contracts right now. That's why it's kind of quiet. And I've got 5 other clients. I'm like, I'm trying, but it's kind of quiet. So that's a testament to Lori's manuscripts, that they offered contracts right now when not a lot of them are being offered.
Thanks.
That is so awesome. Well, folks, it's just a wonderful time of celebration when family members can just celebrate in each other's success. We sustain each other in our hard times, but we celebrate with each other in our good times. Now, Lori, you are going to. This won't be your last time here. You'll be back.
I'm back. I have a new phone, and I'm so excited. Second Wednesday, I'll be back.
Awesome.
There you go. All right, we look forward to that. Del, thanks for sharing. Thanks for bringing Lori on board today. It's been a fun time, and I can't wait to do this again and again and again. Appreciate y'all sharing tonight.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good show.
All right, thank you too. Lori Hayes and Del Duduit right here on pjnet.tv. Folks, the excitement is almost hard to contain. I know we're way over. Please, folks, by this time tomorrow night, there's something going on that I just can't wait to tell you about. We will be talking about it a little bit tomorrow night. We'll be talking about it more on Thursday night. I will be up most of the evening doing highlight videos. And if you would like to know more, what the heck's going on? Why have I not had any sleep for 48 hours? What am I working on? Why am I so excited? I would be glad to share that with you. So if you see me on Facebook or something, just shake the tree, and this I'll fall out of it and I'll tell you. But folks, we are at the preface, the edge, whatever. We're almost there. Tomorrow night, by the way, Whitney Ward will be substituting. She'll be coming our way, and of course, followed by Michelle Medlock Adams. That's tomorrow night. Thursday night, we've got JD. We've also got Jackie Anders, first time. Go to pjnet.tv. Folks, there. I know you've hung in there with me, so I'm going to have to go and give you to go to. But folks, there is some very game-changing news coming down the pipe, and we're right there. We're right there. Can't wait. Folks, got to leave you with 2 questions. First question: what's the boldest thing you've ever done for Jesus Christ? And number 2, when was that? We must never allow ourselves to be satisfied with either end.